My special guest today is Maggie Will, three-time LPGA Tour winner.
I walk over with my hands on my hips and I say, Dad, I know what I'm going to be when I grow up. And he pulls the paper down and he says, Great, what's that? I said, I'm going to be a professional golfer.
Hey friends, welcome back to another episode of Links for Life. And today's conversation is one I've been looking forward to for a long time. My special guest today is Maggie Will, three-time LPGA winner on the tour, and a fun friendship that we have developed really kind of in the last year that has been one that's been a lot of fun. But as someone who is really passionate about golf and about growth, I've learned so much from Maggie, even unintentionally, as we talked about it, on her part, just by seeing how she has gone about the exercise and the practice and the pursuit of excellence in what she does. That has informed a lot of what I thought was my pursuit of excellence, and I've learned a lot about it. So today's episode, I think, is going to be really great for those who want to elevate their golf games. But at the same time, I think it's going to be really important for anybody to think about their pursuit of excellence in whatever matters to them. Because I think the practices and the mindset, the disciplines that we talk about related to golf have easy translation, whether it's in your business career, in your personal life, or whatever area excellence matters to you. So I think we're going to have a great conversation. So before I tell people a little bit about you that many will know about you, but some may not. Welcome to Links for Life, Maggie.
Thanks, Tommy. It took us a while to catch our first game, but
yes.
Now I think we're on each other's game card.
Yeah,
and it's very much a pleasure for me as well to be around you and learn from you as well.
Well, I love it. I mean, I have a lot to learn, but I think you've kind of figured out. For me, I'm passionate about doing it and about
good word, passionate.
Yeah, I mean, I really love diving into it, and you were kind of very willingly, quietly willing to kind of share things that you saw about my game, which I didn't really kind of want to step in and say, well, tell me, what would you coach me on and things like that, but you were really kind of willing to jump in. So it was this episode, as much as I kind of knew I would love to get you for Links for Life in general, and I will get to the introduction eventually, but the episode came about in my mind, framed in my mind, after the first round of golf that we played together. So we were introduced to one another, and I knew a little bit of your background, and frankly was a little bit intimidated to play with you. I truly was, but I know I just have to get over those things. So we had that first.
I was intimidated to play with you too.
Oh, you got to be kidding.
No, I think that, where I am in my game now, and, I'm not the tour player that I was. I can still play at somewhat of a high level, but, everyone I feel the pressure of, they expect me to still play like I'm winning on tour.
Yes.
And
I do get that.
I don't quite. So I'm always nervous to make sure that I play well when I'm around others. So
sure.
There is a little bit of that intimidation on my part as well.
Well, Joe and I just did an episode, this is way off track, but just recently on first tee jitters. And it was a really fun episode, but part of it was the recognition that there are always jitters when you're in a new situation. And the new situation can be as simple as I'm playing with someone I've never played before. Even whether they're better than you or not as good, and you have the expectation to show up, it creates some levels of jitters, of doing that. So,
Yeah, I had a coach once tell me that, I'm like, oh my God, I was so nervous on the first tee or whatever. And he said, if you're ever not nervous on the first tee, find a new sport,
oh, that's great. Yeah, and we kind
because
of talked
it
about
means you're excited and in the moment. And, they talk about the butterflies flying. Well, if they,
Right.
you get them to fly in formation, you have that ampness, nervousness, but, you can use it to your good, not to your detriment.
it's simply saying that it matters to you.
Ooh,
Yeah.
very good one. It matters. I like
Yeah, yeah. So we had that first round, and I didn't really know what to expect. But as we got through the round in all of these subtle ways, I watched how you approached shots. I watched how you where your game excelled, and we would have these short little conversations about how you go about things. And I had this aha moment kind of towards the end of the round that was really meaningful to me. And it was that I'm kind of used to being the person that's most intense and most focused of the people that I would play with. I'm sure
Was
that's
I
a surprise.
intense? Really?
No, you weren't.
Oh, okay.
But I am.
Oh.
And what I watched is that you had a very calm level of focus, but you
Yes.
have a discipline to how you approach the game
another
of
good word.
golf. It was really noticeable to me. So I kind of came into the round into last year with this goal in my mind of I wanted to get my game to scratch. Bold, audacious, which I love and everything. And then when I heard the way you approach the game and the level of commitment, I realized,
Another good word. He's like a wordsmith today. These are all my words.
yeah, oh, good. I realized that I had not begun to count the cost of excellence. And that framed the discussion because I thought, wow, I have so much to learn from you as a professional who has reached the very top echelons of the game of golf, LPGA winner on multiple fronts, and that I had a lot to learn about counting the cost of excellence, which applies to every area of life. It applies to anything we want to do well, not that you just have this desire to reach something, but that you understand and count and practice that cost. So anyway, that's what I want to dive into a lot. And I think it applies to everything. And you have had a long career of counting and measuring the cost over different seasons of life. We have so much to talk about.
So, would it be the cost of the pursuit of excellence?
Yeah. Yes.
Is that the title, maybe?
I think so. I mean, I think that is just absolutely. So it has both the pursuit, but the intentional understanding of what it will cost to pursue that. And I think that is, it's powerful for me as someone who is a life coach for people. It's powerful for me in my own personal walk, even in thinking about something like this podcast. What does it cost to be excellent in the pursuit of podcasting? It applies to everything. It applies to my spiritual walk. What does that mean for me? So that aha moment was not just related to the game of golf and what it would take, and am I willing to pay that cost? And we'll get into that a little bit more. But it began to reframe the way I was thinking about all of the other areas of life that matter to me. That's what I hope we'll be kind of sharing about. And it's right at the heart of Links for Life, which is the intersection of golf, growth, and God. So anyway, this is perfect. So I've been looking forward to this ever since that round. I went, Wow, we have got a lot to talk about.
We have got a lot to talk about.
Yeah, could be a long episode. No. Um, so let me give a little bit of an introduction. Then I'm going to let you just tell your story of kind of how all of this came to be, that you got into the game of golf, you've developed the mindsets, the practices of excellence. What is excellence? We'll talk about a lot of that. So as I've alluded to already, Maggie is a 3-time LPGA Tour winner. That is the top echelon of golf for females in all of the world. So you were the 1990 Desert Inn International Champion, 1992 Sara Lee Classic, 94 Children's Medical Center Classic, and there was some amazing women's golf and amazing heroes of golf in the women's world right at the time that you were competing at that top level. So that is not a small accomplishment to have even been in the game, but to win is amazing. So you continued a long career beyond those 20 plus years of being on the LPGA Tour and continuing that, which we'll probably get into, to becoming a college golf coach, spurring others on to excellence through that, both women's at the University of Richmond and across many other golf programs, and then kind of continuing a career into a whole entrepreneurial venture in the junior golf game.
Hardest thing I've ever done.
Oh, I bet. Totally different skill sets.
Oh,
Yeah. Great. Well, we can hear a lot more about that. You were the CAA Coach of the Year, which is pretty amazing. And you've continued to have a career, a continuing senior professional LPGA career to this day, which has been so much fun for me to follow, just totally vicarious thrill for me. So anyway, we have so much. I have just enjoyed getting to know you, which the crazy thing is, you're married to a classmate of mine from high school, good friend back from then. So it's been fun as a foursome with Wheezy and I to get to spend time, and got lots of fun plans in the future with you and David. So
yes, that's wonderful.
a lot of things about that. Why don't we kind of begin with you just telling a little bit about your story? Go back as far as you want, whatever details you want about how you got into the game and, what's brought you to this point.
Great. I think first I should probably frame for you what maybe excellence is to me.
Yeah, that'd be great.
And then that will sort of set the stage for how and why I did what I did, starting at a very young age.
Super.
But to me, excellence is more extraordinary, right? And I think when I split the word extraordinary into extraordinary, I think, are you willing to do the extra versus what someone would do the ordinary?
Oh, I love that.
And to me, when you can do that, when you can do the extra, you're probably going to reach excellence. There is, through the time, it felt like at times there was a cost of excellence, but for most of my career and most of the time, I tend to think of it more as a pursuit than a cost. If I frame it that way each day, I can enjoy whether it's picking up sticks in the yard or weeding the garden or, practicing golf. When I think too much about what am I giving up to be here, and you think about the cost, then it's like, oh, what should I be doing? And is it fair that I'm out here hitting golf balls when my husband's downtown working?
Yeah.
So, I try to balance it all, but we'll get more into the balancing later.
So the cost leads to the joy.
Yes, probably, right?
So there's some balance of you want to recognize what it takes, but you pursue it because it matters and you enjoy it and it brings life and it has meaning to it.
Yeah. For instance, every year you miss Thanksgiving when you're on tour because of the mixed team championship being the week after Thanksgiving. So it was hard for me to get from Florida up to North Carolina for Thanksgiving
Right.
and then back down. So I would end up having Thanksgiving with friends, and you miss a holiday, right? So there's a little bit of a cost to wanting to do what you want to do. So at times, you kind of, am I being selfish, or but this is my job and this is how I make an income, and
Right.
you just do what you do. And now, being the one who's responsible for making Thanksgiving, I realize, wow, that was actually a real treat to be away all of those years and to be at somebody else's table with my feet under the table, because I have a panic attack making the turkey every year. It's just, I don't know, just not in my wheelhouse. It's the one thing. I think the 8th grade biology teacher just freaked me out on the, cooking of the turkey. But that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for me, it's funny, growing up as a young person, I felt like I grew up in rural North Carolina, a town of 2,500, Whiteville, North Carolina. I felt maybe I was disadvantaged to my friends who maybe were in the bigger cities and had access to more golf courses and more coaching and things like that. As I got older, I realized I was probably advantaged, meaning I had access to something and I could just do it over and over and over again.
Okay.
People say, what was in the water in Whiteville? We had 9 professional athletes come out of there.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes,
Huh.
pretty amazing.
All many of them
Baseball
others in golf?
players, football player.
Yeah. Okay.
I was the only golfer.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, just crazy.
Interesting. Yeah.
So most recent one was the, I don't know his first name, the last name's Gore, and he was the high school athlete of the year. I think he pitched for the Padres for a bit. I'm not sure where he is now,
Okay.
but that was the last one.
Yeah.
Like
Joe probably knows him. He's more the
10 years
baseball
ago.
guy.
Yeah. So anyway, as I've grown in life, I realize that Ryan Holiday book, "The Obstacle Is the Way,"
Yes.
was very helpful to me. And "Pressure is a Privilege," Billie Jean King, that was definitely an advantage for me.
Yeah.
And I was the baby of the family. I was small. When I was 10 years old, I actually at 9, I wanted to swim across the lake. And the reason why I wanted to swim across our lake was because I have webbed toes. I have a half and half color eye. I'm a fish out of water.
Yeah.
So the kids made fun of me, and I would go over to where my mother and her friends were sitting by the pool and, shelling the butter beans or snapping the green beans or shucking the corn, and they're sitting over there doing their thing. And I would go over and I'd cry and say, the kids are making fun of me or whatever. And I am a proven example of be careful what you say to someone. They might just become it, because this lady patted me on the head and said in one fell swoop, "That's okay. You'll show them. You'll swim in the Olympics someday."
Oh, wow.
And I got back in that pool and said, "I'm going to swim in the Olympics. I'll show them." And from that moment on, I swam not ordinary laps from end to end. I swam the 4 corners and never touched the side for hours on end, because this lake was 5 miles and you couldn't touch anything. And I said, I'm going to swim across the lake. So the next year, the lifeguard told my parents, "I think she can make it. I think she can do it." And so they weren't real crazy about it, but
How old were you?
10 years old.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. It was one of these swims. It wasn't like a race or anything.
Yeah.
But they keep records of most family members. The UNC Wilmington swim team, they would come down and they'd go both ways. So they'd go 10 miles, right? And they'd keep youngest and oldest and, fastest and slowest. And, but they gave you a medal. It was a gentleman who was a pharmacist in Whiteville who sponsored sort of these medals in this race each Labor Day. And so I off into the lake I go. And 4 hours and 50 minutes later, I'm climbing up on the pier on the other side. And this gentleman comes up to me and he says, wow, how old are you? I said, I'm 10. And he says, gosh, he says, I have a pre-Olympic swim team down in Wilmington. I'd like for you to come swim. Are you kidding me?
That is amazing.
Pre-Olympic? Like, how good is this? Yeah. I mean, my life is made. I'm on my way. I'm going to the Olympics. So I go running over to my parents and I say, Mom, Dad, guess what? Yeah, what? I'm going to swim in the Olympics. Oh, that's great. I said, no, this guy, I'm going to go get him. So I go over and I get him and I come back and I'm all like, I have this excitable personality in case you haven't noticed. and I get him over there and I go, tell him. He said I could swim on his pre-Olympic team. So the gentleman, says, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And yeah, we have this team. We practice at 6 a.m, blah, blah, blah. And my parents were like, are you kidding me? We're not driving you 45 minutes to practice at 6 a.m. Come up with something different. And I'm being crushed.
Oh, I bet.
In one fell swoop, my life's over. I'm 10.
Went from the top to the bottom.
I'm 10. I'm done. I'm not going to swim in the Olympics. I mean, what? Where am I going now?
Yeah.
So, I hop on ski and ski back to our lake house. And I go and I pout on the end of the pier. And, when I'm done pouting, I start thinking, okay, sports. What can I be? I don't know why I wanted to be an athlete, but we sailed and we swam, we water skied, so it just made sense that maybe I'm not sure where the sporting thing came from, but
yeah.
So I said, I want to professional basketball. I mean,
that's such a natural for you.
Such a natural. Well, yeah. Dean Smith, he's right there, and we're Carolina people, and so I was going to go to Carolina basketball camp when I was 12, so I had 2 more years to wait till I could go there, but loved playing basketball, and but there was no WNBA.
That's true back then.
If I stood up, you'd realize I'm vertically challenged. So that's out. And then I'm thinking, okay, what else? Tennis. I could play professional tennis. So I fast forward in my mind and I see myself hitting against the backboard. And there was a gal who was maybe 3 years older than me who was a nice tennis player. And so, I could play with her. But what happens when I can beat her? Then what? Who else can I play? And what happens when I beat everyone in town? And then how am I going to get better? And, I'm always going to have somebody helping me, or playing with me,
Right.
And, maybe not tennis. But there was professional tennis, so, okay, all right, let me think. Golf. I could be a professional golfer. I mean, I can hit balls. I can go chip and putt. No one has to be there. If I play with someone, that's a bonus, but I could play by myself. I could get better. There's no limit, no one to stop me. I don't have to have people. Great. I got it. I'm going to be a professional golfer. And I go running into our lake house. My mom's making brunch now. The swim started at 6 a.m., so, it's time for brunch, lunch, because we didn't eat breakfast. Back then, you're eating the salt pills. I mean, you're lucky you can survive this because there's no Gatorade back then, and nobody knows about nutrition. And, I had an oatmeal cookie, they tossed to me in the lake. It was good, though. And so my mom's making food, and my father's sitting in his chair reading the paper. And I walk over with my hands on my hips, and I say, Dad, I know what I'm going to be when I grow up. And he pulls the paper down and he says, great, what's that? And I said, I'm going to be a professional golfer. And he goes, yeah, that'll be nice. And he puts the paper back up. And I'm like, well, and I put my hands on my hips. Now, I weigh 50 pounds soaking wet at this point in my life. Put my hands on my hips and I said, let me tell you one thing. I could be president if I wanted to be. I just don't want to be. I'm going to be a professional golfer. And as I'm storming back out of the house, my mother's in the kitchen, giving it one of these, like, please let her live. Please today, don't let it be the day. And, because in the South it was highly unacceptable, to speak back to your parents. But I went back and I sat on the end of the pier and I saw myself playing professionally from what I had seen on TV. And so, okay, and then I started making a plan, of what this was going to look like. And
So you were 25 years old. You were 10 years old when you're
I
going
know,
through
right?
this. I mean,
Well,
that is crazy.
here's the really crazy thing is that when I start telling people this, I'm like not sure about my friends who are my age because they don't have any dream to be anything. And I'm going, you don't? I mean, how? Wait, isn't this the time we're supposed to plan our life out,
Yeah.
I mean,
At 10?
at 10,
Yeah.
yeah. And
That's so unusual.
But I thought it was like what everybody did.
Right.
Shouldn't you? I mean, what else are you going to do with your time? You got to get on the plan.
Yeah.
And so that was, sort of what I did. That was probably the beginning of my pursuit of excellence, if you will. That's when I started every day putting in a little bit extra, over the ordinary. I started a lawn business. I mowed yards. I ended up, people then would come to me and say, oh, they want their yard mowed by me. And so I end up picking up all these yards. I got 2 young boys working for me because I can't do them all. I make $10. I pay them $8, I go back around and make sure they've done a nice job because you always got to trim up a little bit after them or sweep up or something. We didn't have blowers back then. You literally swept the walkway.
Yes.
That was how it all
So
began.
you really had a very unusual drive from early on relative to most people, and that directed you.
It's interesting that you say that because I would have said, yes, that's correct, except for I got on tour and I mean, these women could mow me down. I mean, I'm just around the best of the best of the best.
Right.
And I feel like I'm the laggard when now that I'm off the tour and I'm into what you would call normal life, people are like, wait, slow down, camper.
Right.
But I'm used to just, getting plowed down out on tour. All these women are, pretty strong women to do what they did for all of these years. And
Well, it's true, and I think in some very just minuscule sense, that was what I experienced playing with you. Is that you can begin to feel pretty comfortable about how you excel at something, and I'm a decent golfer, and relative to other people, you can feel pretty good about that. And then when you reach to the next level, you realize how far there is to go. And so even for you, with all those years and getting to the LPGA, which is extraordinary in and of itself, there's always a next place to go for virtually everyone.
yes.
Yeah.
And that quality of always trying to climb or pursue the excellence,
Right.
it never goes away. That's the one thing that there are days where I'm like, I really wish this would go away because I'd like to relax a little. But like I said, it doesn't matter if I'm out working in the yard or cleaning the house or cooking dinner. I mean, it's just I always want to do my best.
So here's a little side question, because I think this is actually very relevant for a lot of people. How do you distinguish between the pursuit of excellence and perfectionism?
Ooh.
That's not an easy question.
Oh, Tommy.
But
yeah.
it's so important.
Yes.
Because a lot of people conflate those two words in a way that, from my perspective at least, perfectionism is not necessarily a good thing. or
Yeah.
a healthy thing. And yet the pursuit of excellence, which is so nuanced, such a thin line between the two, is so important and valuable. So I'm curious about your thoughts.
No, perfectionism is probably all of our Achilles heels, right? I think that's true of anyone trying to reach new heights, right?
Yes.
And I'm always wanting to do it just a little bit better, And my husband will often say, "That's good enough. That's really great. That's good enough." And I'm like, "Well, I can just," and he goes,
Yeah.
That's good enough." And it's not that he's a ordinary person either. I mean,
Not
he's
at
a,
all.
he's a wonderful athlete himself, and
Yes.
quite a scholar, and plays at the top of his career
Right.
as well. But he somehow has managed that better maybe than I have.
Right. So he's a great check for you
He is.
of crossing that line from the pursuit of excellence that can be really healthy to that unhealthy place of perfectionism, which can actually erode excellence.
Perhaps, yeah, that's probably a good example of that.
Yeah.
And for me, I think that when I cross that line, or when I lose the joy of the pursuit or the excitement of the opportunity, when I'm not in those places, when I'm in the I have to do or it needs to get done or something like that, that's when I might fall into the trap of it has to be perfect, right? Because you're trying so hard.
Right. Yes.
So if you're doing it more from a place of enjoyment and excitement, whether you are accomplishing it or not, you're enjoying it.
Whatever area of life. So one of the things that I think stands out that I'd love to kind of move in the direction of is I think there are a lot of people that would say that they believe in and work towards the pursuit of excellence in some area of their lives, but they're working that out into actually achieving, practicing it, the disciplines, those things are missing. So it ends up being just a desire, an unfulfilled desire that I really want it, but it doesn't go beyond that. I really want it. And that's obviously not been the case for you. And that's not just because you wanted it more, but because you acted on that. So I'd love for you to maybe just talk for, a few minutes about the mindset, the discipline, the practices that need to accompany the desire for excellence to be achieved.
Yeah, I think that I still have what the place where most people are is that I really want to, and I really have the desire, and I'm really excited about it, but I just run out of energy at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
To get things done that I used to be able to get done.
Right.
So that's kind of a little bit of a bummer, but I think the practices that I did were sort of the things that I applied when I coached college golf as well.
Oh, great.
I would always try to show and at times sort of drip on the gals that do the little extra, come maybe a few minutes early and hit a few extra putts, or stay a little late and hit a few more chips. It's that little bit of extra on the ends of the ordinary,
right,
that helps start making you extraordinary, which then leads to the excellence.
Right.
Or just simply in life doing those things. I'll relate it to golf, fixing an extra ball mark. Every time I bend over and I'm fixing 10 on the green, I think, well, someday someone's going to fix these 10 because I'm not going to be able to do that. I'm only going to be able to maybe do one.
Right.
But I can still do 10, so I'm going to do 10 on every green. So, and then also doing those things when nobody else is around, when nobody's looking, right? Picking up the trash, putting a divot in. And I would always, show them those things and then say to them. And, it helped, I think, influence, I mean, it has to be their choice. I would always tell them that, I don't necessarily believe in discipline. I believe in self-discipline. And, if you can't find it within yourself to be driven, whether it's because you've had a good mentor or you've had good parenting or it's just inside of you, even if you've not had that. I mean, when I was growing up as a kid, there were these, this boy and this girl they were products of alcoholics. Their parents are both alcoholics. He goes on to the Naval Academy and she becomes one of the top teachers in North Carolina. I mean, how do you explain it, right?
Right. Yeah.
So your environment, but somewhere they had probably someone influence them, and that person could be from a golf game,
right,
or from a teacher in school or something. And
yeah,
and I think that leading by example is always been one of my big mottos.
That's great.
I just David will make fun of me. I clean up the hotel room before we leave for the day. I can't, I don't know. I just can't,
Yeah.
It's in my blood.
Yeah. I remember hearing lots of stories of kind of similar practices with Tiger Woods, in terms of, ironing his pants, before rounds. And I love that it's the way you're describing it. It's not like, well, I just chose to be extraordinary when it came to, the specifics of hitting a golf shot, but no, I chose to apply that to taking care of the greens and to all of these other areas. And, one of the things for Links for Life is intersection of golf, growth, and God. And I think that actually goes all the way back to Jesus. Jesus was the one who framed the thing that we talk about of going the extra mile. Mm-hmm. And he talked about that first of if someone's going to make you go 1 mile, go a second mile.
Yeah.
Go that extra. And he was actually the one that talked about that. And so that mindset that you carry to all areas of your life is important. And I would even argue that if you don't take it to the other areas of life, it won't necessarily last in the one place that you think I should be extraordinary.
Yeah, it's definitely, when you catch that passion for it, it's hard to turn it off.
Yeah.
It isn't like a switch. It doesn't go off and on, I'll just do it over here in this arena. We talk about the different arenas of life.
Yes.
You have the family, and then even the family breaks down into being a good son or daughter or a good parent or a good sibling,
Right.
So those are kind of all family arenas. And then you have the work arena, and for my work, it was sport, and then the friend arena, if you will. And so it's like you have these arenas and you're always, moving in between them. And I can't imagine, just having it in one arena and not the others. And I think you're missing out. If that's the case, then you might be faking it. I mean, sometimes you got to fake it to make it, but fool yourself into
Right.
sinking these putts or hitting that drive in the fairway when you don't think you can.
Well, I think we all kind of grow in mindset. And so it may be that, golf happens to be the mechanism by which you, in essence, develop the muscles of choosing to be extraordinary. But as you're saying, I think we miss out if we limit it and say, well, I'm going to be extraordinary here and I'll just be very mediocre in these other areas, that the real joy and satisfaction and fulfillment in life is as we take that attitude into all the areas of our life.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think, speaking of attitude, gratitude is You just can't. You want to if you're struggling out there with I just can't seem to get passionate about doing the dishes, or I just can't seem to get passionate about having to pick up after my children again or whatever.
Right.
Gratitude. That's my key to life, is be grateful. Boy, aren't you lucky that you have clothes to pick up? Wow, aren't you lucky that you have dishes to wash? I mean, if I ever get down and out and I'm,
Yeah.
cleaning the toilets right at the house,
Yeah.
and I think, oh gosh, no, I'm lucky I have a toilet to clean.
Yeah, that's I think another podcast episode for us, because I do think that one of the things that we talk about a lot, Joe and I talk about, is just not losing track of this is a game and it's meant to be fun, and we are so fortunate to be able to spend
I have to tell
our
myself that a
time
lot.
and hours. Well, yeah, because I mean it's a challenge and it doesn't always go well, and it has elements of frustration. But if you don't have that kind of underlying gratitude, that is the way you begin to look at hard things, then it becomes difficult. So this kind of innate pursuit, I don't know if that's the right way of saying it, of living for the extra and not just for the ordinary, is a difficult thing when you then are put in the situation of saying, I want to communicate this by example and by word, and find out how do I motivate others, like as a college coach. And I think about it for things that I do. How do I motivate someone in the correct way, in a effective way, towards excellence or an attitude of the extraordinary? How did you feel like you navigated that as a college coach?
Yeah, when I got into coaching college golf, people said, you should coach, you'd be great. Oh my God, I'll hang them up by their toenails. This is not the right thing for me, because I'm highly motivated and they may or may not be. And then how am I going to manage that if they're not? Right. But I'll give you an example. When I came to the University of Richmond, I had coached as an assistant at 3 other places. So, I had sort of the background of, this is what this looks like. And but now it's on me. And I come in and the team was, sort of down and out, right? They were not happy. And what would make you happy, right? I got to find out what would make you happy. And they were like, well, one girl says, I just want to hit balls. And the last coach wouldn't let me hit balls. All she did was make me work on my short game. And I never got to hit balls. And so therefore I couldn't hit it well enough. So all the short game I had in the world was, and this girl was could shoot par golf. And now this is her senior year. And she's been shooting 80s, for the last couple of years. And I'm like, hey, you need to go hit balls? Go hit balls. Really? Yeah, go hit balls. Yeah. Meanwhile, in the back of my mind, I know that she needs to work on her short game, but okay, go hit balls.
Right.
I'll make you happy. And, this person says, oh, well, I need to do this. I need to do that. I don't do that. Okay, go do that. So I sort of let them do what they thought they needed to do, kind of observed, checked it out. We went out and played, saw them play. Well, that girl needs to be doing this. She's doing that, but she needs, But I wasn't ready yet to say, hey, hold it, whatever. So, I just went over one day when, fast forward a couple of days, we've played, we've practiced the way we want to practice. And there's one of the gals over at the chipping green, and I said, hey, let me see, she hits a shot. One goes long, one goes short, one goes long, one goes short. Yeah, I kind of say, do you know how to get it to stop by the hole? Well, yeah, I use like my 9-iron or my 7-iron or whatever. And I'm going, no. So, I grabbed the sand wedge out of her bag and I said, you can stop it with height or spin. That's the only way you can make your golf ball stop, height or spin. So you have to then decide, what does the slide look like? Can I get the club on the golf ball, meaning now I can spin it? Is there enough turf under it? Can I hit it high, right? So you figure that out, and then you look at the shot, and now you know what to do. And she goes, well, show me. And so, as luck would have it, of course, I hit this little spinner, knock it in the hole. Whoa!
That's great.
Hooked.
Yes.
Hooked. How'd you do that? Oh, here's how you do it. In 30 seconds, she could do it. Literally. And she was like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. And so now she is just like getting louder and louder and hitting these shots and going, well, what about it then whenever it goes over there? And now all these other people that wanted to hit balls are over there looking at us going, oh, I want some of that.
Yeah.
So then, they gradually start coming over, and lo and behold, a couple days goes by, and, I start fishing and I'm getting more and more over there, and they're seeing success from this short game practice that they weren't seeing before. And then this gal who just wanted to hit balls, she comes over and she says, do you think I could chip better? I said, I don't know, let me see. So it's not bad, but, we could sharpen it up a little bit, because you start getting proximity to the hole,
It's
makes
a different game.
Yeah, different game. And so she got a little bit of that. Fast forward, we go to our first tournament, and I think we finished like third. And they got the bug now because they see that they could win. I explained to them statistically how this, if everybody was half a shot better per 9 holes, 1 shot a day better. Tell me your 1 shot. Tell me a shot you could. Well, I could have done this. Okay. Wow. We got options. They win the next tournament.
Oh, wow. That's
They
great.
finish 5th in the next one. They win the next one. I mean, it was so fun.
That is so
to
fun.
watch them grow.
Yeah.
And get inspired. And 3 of them were seniors, and I think they had a pretty good senior year.
I get so jazzed hearing that, because I absolutely love coaching, whether it's life or golf. I love even my amateur form of coaching players, and Joe knows this. I mean, it just is so exciting to see that light bulb go on. I mean, there's just no better feeling than that. And I can totally imagine you doing that after we played. I don't know whether it was the first or the second round, but I had a shot towards the end of the round that was just it was a tricky shot. I was right up on the fringe of the green, up against a high collar. And so I managed my way around it. I can't even remember. I think I just tried to putt through the collar, and don't remember whether I did it well or not. But we finished the round, and he said, hey, come on over here. And we went over to the practice green and said, let me show you a shot. And we pulled out, I think it was my 5-wood.
Yeah.
And you showed me how to position the ball and how to hit that shot. And I'd never had anybody show me that version of the answer for it, but it was fantastic for me. And it was kind of like, man, I could do this all day long. You just tell me how to hit this next shot. Tell me how to do this next, which we did a lot of.
Yeah.
And that to me is why I love coaching, when you can get someone, they can have that moment. It's just like, that's so satisfying.
Yeah. What's interesting is that when the Bible, teach a man, to give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach him to fish, feed him for life, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like in golf, when you teach someone, if they have any level of curiosity, if you show them 1 shot, then they can come up with more shots off of that shot.
Right.
And I think that so many times when people get taught, they think that it's only this. But I try to go, well, you could do that, but then what if you did this? And what if you
Sure.
did that? And then all of a sudden oh, wow, it's like a recipe. Oh, I add a little of this, I add a little of that, I get this. I had this, I had that, and I get that. So,
Well, eventually, and we've talked about this on Links for Life, and again, I think it applies to all of life. We eventually have to get to the place where we can self-coach, where we don't have to have someone tell us a little formula that we follow, that we can learn to learn. So I think that's so relevant. So let's jump to the next, because I think this is so amazing. So you had this, great career in college golf coaching, and you're pursuing this junior golf thing, but you now have a continuing professional career for yourself that continues to today of still playing competitive golf at the highest level. So that's a lot of years to stay focused on an extraordinary level. And I'm sure it requires at some level some adaptation to say, well, I can't necessarily do it exactly like I did it when I was on tour, but I need to do a version of that works. So I'd love to hear, how do you sustain excellence?
yeah, definitely sort of resetting parameters, if you will.
Right.
The arenas of life as you grow older start sucking away a little more time and energy from you.
Sure.
So that definitely changes. I'll backpedal just a little bit towards the end of my career, and I'll never forget where I was. I was on the putting green in Toledo, Ohio. Holy Toledo, Jamie Farr Classic. And I had a friend come up to me, and they said, hey, do you want to go grab ice cream? And I was like, yeah, but I have to finish this drill first. So I'll reward myself with some ice cream after I finish this drill. And they were like, okay, fine, all right, I'll give you 15 minutes. Well, I used to do this drill. Think of it like a snail around the hole. 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 feet, 4 feet, 5, not all the way out to 9 feet. So it sort of circles around. So you're getting all different breaking putts and length putts. And then if you accomplish all the way through 9, you make the 9-footer, then you can start 9, 8, 7, 6, go around that way. And it's funny how the pressure, if you get all the way back around, you get to like 3 feet, all you got to do is go 3, 2, 1. I mean, how hard is that? Because you've done the harder ones, right? And you've done all these very, you're going around the hole, the horn there. And I'll never forget, I missed. And I was like, well, I'm not going to have ice cream. And then I put all the balls back out again. And I started over, and I went, who am I kidding? I'm going to have ice cream. And I went, uh-oh.
Oh, wow.
The gig is up.
Yeah.
Right? Like, uh-oh. I'm not able to push myself and, have the cost,
yes,
come into play here, because I'm going to have the ice cream whether I finish or not. So let me just do the best I can. And I think that was sort of the beginning of the end for me,
Yeah.
I'll never forget it.
Or at least the beginning of a change.
Well, that's probably a better way of saying,
Yeah.
but felt like the end to me.
Right. I'm sure it did. I mean,
we spoke the other night about going to that Johnson O'Connor Research Foundation. I went to that shortly thereafter to find out, like, what else could I do in life and what would fit me. And that was enormously understanding, not necessarily for what I could do with my life, but understanding others.
Right.
That was probably the biggest appreciation I got out of that.
Yeah.
But back to the golf and the senior golf, it's sort of funny. David, my husband, your friend, he came to the first one with me. He's actually come to all of them, and we were in Chicago playing Chicago Golf Club, which was amazing. And he was sort of at that point like, I don't get this tour thing, and I don't get like why you would spend your life doing this, and God, I can't imagine you're like this traveling circus and all this. and we go to the player, I guess they call it a player party, player cocktail, whatever,
Right.
cocktails, we're having cocktails now at a golf tournament. But we hadn't seen each other in years because we had stopped playing and there was no senior thing to play in.
Right.
So here we are. We haven't seen each other in 10 years. It's like a class reunion. And we're like, hey,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, remember, Great evening. We get in the car. We go back to the hotel and David says, I have to apologize. I've been sort of making light of what you did and why would you do it? And he says, but now I get it. These powerful relationships that you had with all of these women.
Sure.
They were still are, your pals, and you guys were like one big family, I'm sure you had your squabbles and this and that. And I said, yeah, and we've gotten older, so, more mature. I said, but wait till you see tomorrow morning, and it's like competition.
Yes.
And I mean, everybody's quartered off into their little area, at breakfast. Nobody's like going, how you doing? We're all like,
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, I get it.
Yeah, well, and I've gotten a little bit of taste of it because I've kind of followed what you've done, on some really big tournaments, the U.S. Women's Senior Open, the last couple of years, and that level of competition is still incredibly intense, and I love competition. I love putting my neck on the line.
I think it's harder now because you don't have the time to put into it that you did previously, and you're not playing week every week, So
in the competitive,
right. So it adds a little extra twist to the sort of framing things up.
Sure,
right.
Well, and I've appreciated with you because as we were talking a little bit beforehand, I have seen a lot of people who have competed at a high level that when they perceive that they lose that edge or even just an element of that drive, they can't move into another place. It is an all or nothing thing. And I've loved to see how you continue to pursue being really great at the game, realizing things have changed, and you continue to pursue and care a lot about competing, even now. And I've just very much admired that. And I share that even at the level that I play. That is what is really, really fun to me.
Yeah, I wasn't sure when I left the tour. I knew that was going to be it. Like, put my clubs away, find another sport. I thought I'd play tennis, and then I met my now husband, and he's so good at tennis that it put things in perspective pretty quickly. That maybe I'm not going to be that good at tennis. But I thought, well, that way I could be competitive in something different. And how hard would it be to, not be the level of player that I was, and would people accept that? And how would that work in playing just a round of golf?
Right.
And I found out really quickly that, golf's such a great game. You can play with a 0 to a 50 handicap. I mean, as long as you can keep up and you're not going to damage the course while you're out there and getting upset and whatever, let's go play, because it's a great way to communicate and learn.
Totally feel the same way.
So that's sort of my perspective.
Yeah.
I know that as I get a little closer to the tournament, I do get a little more serious, and I talk a little less because I'm really in a little bit more of a grind mode.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's really fun to see, and I think there's so many titles we could give for this podcast episode. I think we could call it the many faces of excellence, because excellence, I think, can still exist. The pursuit of the extraordinary can still continue in a lot of different forms. There's not just one form of extraordinary excellence. It's a mindset, it's an attitude, it's a discipline to it that can play out in a lot of different seasons. So, again, I think all of that's just so applicable to all places that we want to be extraordinary and to all seasons that we want to continue to be extraordinary. So I love all of this. So we could go on for a long time, but perhaps as we close out, because you are a great golf teacher, I've already experienced it and I love it, and I hope we'll be able to continue a lot on it. I'd love it if you would give maybe a thought or a golf tip to those who would love to move in the direction of becoming better at the game, whatever that looks like, whatever their levels are. If you were to give just something that you think would be helpful.
Well, I'm very passionate about golf inside 100 yards. I think this Operation 36 was a brilliant idea that these guys came up with, where they start at the hole, close to the hole, and they move backwards, whereas most people learn the game trying to hit the perfect 7-iron.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think amateurs, they try to hit the perfect 3-footer or the perfect 6-footer or the perfect 9-footer on a flat green.
Right.
That's how they drill, right?
Right.
I'm going to make 10 3-footers. I'm going to make 10 6-footers or 5 6-footers or whatever. And everyone practices. I see them set up their tees, and they're all on flat putts. And when you get on the golf course, that's not the case. I also see, I guess because there's 3 balls in the sleeve, people come and they drop 3 balls and they hit 3 balls and they're like at 20 feet, and then they hit the same putt over, and then they hit the same putt over. And I think that's the wrong way to practice, because your brain just went numb after the first one. Like, what did you learn, right?
Yeah.
So I think, I'll just put it in putting terms, you're never going to get the perfect putt, all right? You're never going to get the perfect 7-iron. Well, maybe if it's on a tee and maybe the wind's just right and maybe the yardage is just right, but is that once a year? I mean,
Right.
So why practice the perfect 7-iron? Or why practice the perfect 3-footer? I think it's one ball and it's one hole. And if you want to go out and practice putting, it's one ball, one hole. Now, if you're drilling and you're working on your stroke, you're working on whether it's the length of your stroke or how your grip pressure is or ball position or whatever, great. Do that on the side of the green, do that at home. But if you're out there and really your intention is to sink the ball into the hole, then that's what you should be practicing. One ball, one hole. Next, one ball, one hole. And I think that holds true for, when I'm out pitching and practicing around the pitching green, I never hit the same pitch twice.
Man, that's something I love that.
I'm just always moving around the green.
I need to take that really seriously. The other huge benefit from that is it automatically simulates pressure, which for me, it's the subtle pressures of being in a round of golf with virtually every shot that comes because we only hit one shot.
Yeah.
That needs to be improved. It's not that I'm not capable and I don't understand how to hit a golf quality shot. It's that the circumstance changes it. So immediately, it doesn't feel as productive because you're hitting that one ball at a time, but it's probably much more productive because you're playing real golf and you're simulating real pressure. So I love that. And I have taken to heart that my kind of number one goal for this off season is working on my 30 to 70 yard shot. Because for me, and you've seen me play, I think I've got kind of the longer I'm probably better than my handicap level at the longer shots, but I completely destroy it because of my mediocrity in various
I
forms
think
of the
30
short
to
game.
70 is definitely the hardest zone. I from 50 out, I'm okay, but mine's 30 to 50 because I don't at 50, maybe 55. I have a system. I know if I grip it at this point, if I put it in that ball position and I take it back to this position, then
Yeah.
I'm going to hit it between 50 and 55 every time, right?
Yeah.
But then when I get forward of that and I'm not quite to say 15 or 20, so I'm going to say 20 to 50 is my nemesis.
Right.
And so I just avoid it. You want to get better at it? Avoid it. I mean, or accept that this is the no-go zone. And
Sure.
so if I get there, I'm now changing my goal of, can I be 12 feet, 15 feet? That decade golf, how many approaches can you get inside of 20 feet in a round? If you can get 9+ in a round inside of 20 feet, and I believe, can I have 9+ one putts in a round? You can break par.
Yeah.
I know it's easier said than done.
No, but it's
taking
actually
that pressure
helpful to
off
hear the
of
experience
20
of
feet.
what are the metrics that will actually move the needle. And that's one of the things I want to learn. So that is great. I'm actually very excited about this off season because I feel like I've got some clarity of what will make the difference for me. So that's very helpful overall. So we've talked about a lot in terms of I love the redefinition of excellence to the extraordinary, and we talked a lot about the various things. Do you have anything that you would say for those who are listening, either kind of related to golf in general or towards this pursuit of the extraordinary, pursuit of excellence, that would be a great takeaway for people listening?
I would say just be passionate. It's easier said than done, but if you want to get passionate, be grateful. Grateful people are passionate people. So if you're struggling and you can't seem to catch passion of, you're in a rut at work, you're in a rut at home, whatever, or you just feel like, gosh, I'm being a little ordinary here in things. The way that you get to the extraordinary is passion. And that passion will drive you to do the extraordinary. But wait, I'm not passionate about this. I mean, I'm just trying to get to the finish line in my job, or I'm just trying to get to the kids off to school thing, right? Well, maybe just take a step back every night. Just, if you journal, great. If you don't, just do it in your mind. When you lie down at night, what am I grateful for?
That's great.
And try to come up with a different one every day. It's easy just to go back through the normal. Well, I'm grateful I have a car. I'm grateful I have a house. I'm grateful I had food on the table. No, what is something that you're, add a little extra one in there.
Yeah.
That, and then the curiosity will start coming. And then all of a sudden you're in this place and you wake up in the morning and you're like, wow, I'm passionate about going to work today. What can I do there?
I love that.
That's kind of how I sort of reframe and get myself going again.
Yeah, I love that. Well, this has been everything I hoped for in terms of the conversation. I think we could have many more, and maybe we will have many more. Certainly plenty of rounds of golf together in the future. So thank you. I really learned a lot from it, and I think there's so much significant that we've talked about. So thanks for coming and being a part of Links for Life. It's been a ton of fun, and look forward to more conversations and more help with my game.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Great. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Share this. There's just a lot of practical life wisdom in what we've talked about today, which just excites me because I think that's what Links for Life is all about. Share it with your friends, and we'll be back next week.